Welcome. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. I'm your host. The gang is back.
The gang is back. The big three is back, America.
It's been a minute. Shout out to Meah Evans, the amazing, the fashionable, the articulate, the outspoken, but still, reserved and calm. Meah Evans, how you feeling?
Man, I want for everybody, just wherever you're at, even though we can't see you and you can't, the vice versa. Everyone, just a round of applause for Ace. Ace is back in the studio. We're all excited. Ace, well, I was telling him before we even started, y'all, it's been a month genuinely since I've seen Ace. So it's bro, when I tell you, you have no idea how much you've been in my prayers, both you and your family and your wife. And I'm so happy you're back, man.
Oh, it means a lot, sis. You
seem well rested too, in a way.
Yeah.
Is that accurate or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty just, when you have like a busy life and life kind of, flares up on you with family stuff, church stuff, you kind of just, either you crumble or you have a resilience. Yeah. And I think prayerfully, my response has just been, all I can stand on is God. So,
praise God.
And it also reminds you that life is meant to be what it is. It's like hills and valleys, ups and downs. And so if you approach life only expecting it to be mountaintops, you'll probably be really disappointed.
Hit hard.
So 2025, it's been a lot of valleys. You know what I'm saying? It's been a lot of valleys, but we still standing. As I was, other day for my kids on spring break, so me, Naj, and the boys went to Arabia Mountain. You're familiar. You're on that side of town, kind of. So you kind of not. I mean, I feel like McDonough is kind of like in that area. It's like east, south. And we was went to go hike it. First time ever doing it. I mean, we've done Stone Mountain before, and as we're getting up there, I'm like, man, first of all, I had my young son with me because he really wasn't trying to go up the mountain, and I was like, I think we can. And my other sons wanted to scales me, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we'll meet y'all up there. So my youngest son obviously couldn't walk, so I had to kind of carry him. It was kind of a moment. As I'm carrying him, I'm going up that mountain. I'm like, yo, this is such like I feel like I turn everything into a sermon. Slick. I'm like, it's the preacher in me.
Everything.
And I'm just like, man, what a, and you get to that mountaintop and you're like, man, you just see everything and you're like, man, this is, that mountaintop was a climb. You know what I'm saying? Literally. And my other son, who was actually a little scared, I ain't gonna say his name, he gonna be mad if this is out public, but he was a little timid about going up. And he wasn't scared to go up per se. He was like, I don't know how to come back. I'm scared to come back down. And I was like, yo, that's a whole nother sermon.
A whole nother sheesh.
Like, the climb is one thing, but the fall off or the get back down is another thing. You're scared to kind of have those low moments in life. And I think, it was just a cool metaphor of 2025 for me this year. When I tell you, bro, I
don't know if this is just like, or anyone else has felt like this, but I don't know. A lot of times when I'm in nature, I hear God speak a lot, like loud. Like real loud. I just be like just using like everything. I don't know if it's just because it is nature, it is his creation, which of course we'll talk more about. But I was just kind of like, I don't know, that happens to me too, where I've been hiking. I don't know, just like a lot of different things, hiking, water rafting, or just where I'm submerged in nature. God be speaking real loud to me. So I believe that you saying that you get in those revelations and things like that.
That's really good observation. Yeah, the quiet nature is the stillness of nature. Not to hate on my city folk. I'm a city boy too, but there's something about just stillness, nature, where you're like, oh, he created all of this, right? And I know, shout out Matt, who's like zeroing in and watching us, like as someone who probably deals with creativity a lot on his side, like video production. Like he's seeing things from a lens of like watching us this conversation. He's gonna go back and edit it, and there's a creativity there. I can only imagine what God sees. Watching how we interact and kind of having like that director seat, and just kind of seeing his creativity interact, good or bad. And I think I sometimes forget that we are kind of in his design, in his kind of like movie.
On his set.
There you go. Thank you for the words. And you there's somebody that's kind of like behind the camera watching. Yeah. And seeing and how the things are shaping. So it's humbling.
It is. No, it really is. I agree.
And that's a cool segue. I feel like our conversation today is just talking about creativity. Shout out to all my creators.
All the creatives.
All the creators, all the creators. Shout out the one and only creator. And I feel like people associate creativity a lot of times with people who are artistic. Yeah. And it's almost like I think it's a bit of a disservice. Because I feel like creativity finds itself in many different ways, right? So when we think about creative, we think about, I mean, who are the people that comes to mind when we think about creative people? Like, obviously, we work in music, but who's some people that come to mind when you think about creative people? Who's like the first 5 or 6 different people that come to mind?
I think a lot of different avenues. Like, of course, like art, I think of people like maybe like Salvador Dali. I think of music, I think of people like Aretha Franklin or like Earth, Wind & Fire, people I grew up on. When I think of, when I think of even creatives when it comes to like, of course, music, but then even I think fashion, like people like Pharrell Williams, who's been a lot of different mediums when it comes to that. When I think of art, I think of cooking, because I think cooking is art. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so like, you know, like with making designs and how you present things on a plate. I don't know, I think of things like that. I think a lot of my friends who I grew up with who are visual artists, nail techs who do like, you know, things like that. Crazy. Like, you know, I think art has, like you said, it's very vast. And I don't know, I kind of think, I agree with you. I do think it is kind of hard, and we'll dive more into this about, I think every person on this earth is creative in some shape, form, or fashion. I just don't think that they just realize it.
Right. Do you think of people like, was Bill Gates come to mind? Like tech
Okay, people? Now that's something that's brought to my mind recently.
Right.
Because like, I think really being here has opened my mind to that. Talking to people like, shout out to Shan and Brian, seeing even in Joe, shout out to him when he was here. Even like how you lay out a campaign, a rollout, you know what I'm saying, on social media. Like even how you create an experience for people. That's creative. I had no idea about like that even took creativity until me really like being here. Right. It opened my eyes. So yeah, I would even say somebody like Bill Gates, Tesla, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. I think that takes creativity. The Cybertrucks, as weird they be looking. When I be seeing them down the street, I see somebody in a suburban neighborhood with a Cybertruck. I'm like, okay. But you know, it takes creativity to create something like that. So I think so.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I feel like we generally associate, even me, I associate creativity with artistry, and I go to the arts. I go to music, film, fashion, drawing, painting, designing. But as I'm stepping out and really kind of filtering creativity through the lens of the creator, and really, honest, man, everybody is creative. Even like your seemingly boring job, like it takes creativity to build systems.
Yes, bro.
It takes creativity to build templates and formats. It takes creativity to build even like nonprofit design and neighborhood impact.
Bro,
that's creativity. Sports.
How you run a play.
All that.
You know what I'm saying? Like different plays for different teams, different things like that. I think that, for me, I think that takes creativity.
It takes creativity to edit Lecrae, you know, pulling up on a 116 Life and having it fit seamlessly, right? Say. I'm laughing because he's like, I'm waiting for the moment.
I know. He's trying to fake us out today.
Hey,
now he's going to tease us. See, he went from coming in out of nowhere, now he's trying to tease us now.
That's my dog, man. Shout out Craig. Shout out Craig in the building, the one and only. But now I think creativity is like, so I feel like sometimes, even as I'm thinking about like my kids in my school, in the school system we live, we associate creativity so much with the arts, where we probably limit creativity in people who are creative in their own way. So we may box like mathematicians and people who do spreadsheets. We kind of lump them out the creative process. When I filter creativity through the lens of what God, like, you know, we're all made in his image, and who's more creative than the creator?
Bro, that's how, when you think about it, that's really how we were first introduced to who God is. That's one of like the first characteristics that God created. Yeah. The heavens and the earth. So the first characteristic we see is like, oh wow, God is a creator. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to remind myself that that's who God is. Like, you know, he creates everything that we see. Like what I be seeing, sunsets in the sky.
Yo, it's crazy.
I be like the moon, bro. I be in awe of the moon sometimes. I be looking like, man, God created that.
Why do you think people who are more technical, analytical, why do we not consider them creative? Or why do they not see themselves as creative? What is the thing about our culture that lumps creatives in this artistic bag and keeps people who are more technical out of it?
I wonder if it's because it's not exciting. It's nothing that you can really express. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think art is, and creativity is it's an expression form. Sure. So when it comes to like, you can express a spreadsheet in a meeting, but it's not as interesting. Sure. But I think people who are more technical, I think that's maybe their creativity is is more isolated, meaning that they do that more in their private time opposed to being expressed to the masses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. And I feel like I want to encourage those people, like, especially my people who are like probably fans of the world that we live in, fans of CHH, and they see people on platforms, they see creativity expressed on platforms and feel like, man, I can't or don't have those creative leanings. I'm like, no, absolutely wrong. Like, how you, man, this sounds crazy. How you even raise your children, how you pack your lunch, how you create schedules. That's all forms of creativity. And I feel like we could do better in society and even in Christian culture when the creative people are like preaching as a form of creativity. Like, those people are a platform. I just want to shout out like the quote unquote seemingly basic roles, basic industries that there's a creativity within them that they can like express more. And I think we should give those people space. Like, what comes to mind is like, man, if you have creativity, you have to have faith. Like, they kind of go hand in hand.
They do. Because
you can't create something that you don't believe is possible. You have to have a bit of faith to even have an idea, create something, express it. You're kind of pulling it, people would say, out of thin air, which I think is honestly Holy Spirit driven. A lot of times as you're designing things, creative problems. So yeah, I just want people to like think about creativity from a place of like faith. Because you can't really like, to have faith is to basically, there isn't like a analytics involved. You have to have
There's no blueprint.
There's no blueprint. Even the people who are like designing modules that feel like they're not creative, now you have to have a bit of faith to even pull this data, to assemble it, to imagine it. It's not only coming from just a source data, it's coming from a place of like a spiritual realm that I feel like people could do a better job of just accepting and believing.
And then even also, I think with faith, you're taking nothing into something.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So even not even saying if it's physically absolutely nothing, but you're taking one thing to a whole nother level.
For sure.
You know, that you can't see with your eyes open, but you got to take it from, like you said, that Holy Spirit led, Spirit led, and then make it into something. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're being led in a way that you can't even explain. You know how many artists they say like, okay, well, how did you create the Mona Lisa? Okay, well, how did you create these, like, you know, these different things? And it's kind of like, oh, well, it was led by something. And I think that everyone has that leading, especially all believers.
For sure. As well. I would love to, in the next segment, just kind of unpack some examples of like spirit-led creativity, even in, you know, your life, my life, those around us. Because I feel like those stories are just so powerful of how there was nothing, like literally like how God formed the earth and then something came out of it. So we'll be right back, y'all. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. I'm back with Meah Evans, back with Matt. It's been a minute. The gang is back. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back, y'all. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris. Here with Meah Evans, talking about faith and culture and creativity and how we're all designed to be creative, and it expresses itself, not limited to the arts. But I think the arts is a very obvious and popular form of creativity that we all are kind of around and surrounded in. And we were talking on a break with Matt about how, you know, you have this, I think one of your bucket lists is to go to Italy. Talk about your love for Italy and the arts.
Man.
And how
I've had this desire to go to Italy since I was young, and I know I'm gonna go one day. So it's low key out of faith, I bought a book at Goodwill that I just saw that said Italy, because I was like, yeah, you know, like when I go, I want to be able to know where I want to go, know about history, culture, that stuff like that means a lot to me while traveling. And so in the beginning of the book, it just shows the timeline of culture, art, history, things that happened in Italy. And I'm right now in the portion where they're talking about art. And one thing that I thought was so fascinating was that they're talking about the renaissance of art at the time, and like, you know, the waves that they went through, what artists were popular at the time when they had their rise and things like that, and like what was being accepted and what was being admired amongst the art form. And one thing that they did say was that artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, who were Christian artists who communicated Christian symbolism in their art, people would travel from near and far just to see that art form. Thinking of things like the Last Supper and
that's crazy,
different things like that. And I just thought that was so fascinating to me, because I was like, wow, here it is that these are probably the most famous artists ever, communicated their faith in art, and it was valued, and it really shaped and played a big part in not even just for them as believers, but in art in general. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So hearing people say things like that they don't know how to express themselves in art forms, like, you know, art visual artists, things like that. You think about someone who, like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, who are staples when it comes to Italian art, the Italian Renaissance. I just think it's beautiful to see that they were able to communicate their faith in such a major way that's just super expressive that no one's seen anything like
that's
before.
So good. And I'm curious, what time, I'm not trying to make a history lesson, but I'm just really curious, what time frame was the Italian Renaissance? And
I can actually tell you. I was looking it up. Y'all know I love Chat GPT, so I'm always going to ask Chat. I'm within the 1400s, the late 1400s.
Wow. And so, and we were talking on the break. I mean, it seems like the church commissioned those artists.
Yeah.
To create these masterpieces, and I mean, the intent was to like embody like the beauty of the scriptures and faith, but also seemingly to point people to Christ, right?
Yeah.
To talk about how that's like a powerful use of our creativity, almost like not almost, but definitely like an evangelistic tool. Can't get out. Like almost like as a form of evangelism to like create something that's so beautiful and powerful, and it evangelizes to the world. Talk about how that resonates with people.
I think that's so beautiful, like for real. 'Cause who would have thought that a painting,
right,
a statue, music, a hoodie would be able to point people back to Jesus?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what's cool about even talking about Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and people like that, where that happened thousands of years ago.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so like
and
that,
how I think what really speaks to me, Ace, is the shift in the stamp it makes in culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like not even just for Christianity, but the fact that they're big in, when you mention art, you can't not mention these people. You know what I'm saying? For these things that they made that most people don't know is points back to Christianity. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important, and that speaks to me just because creating period. I always want. I said this to my sister a while ago. I want for whatever I do and whatever art form, whatever creativity it is, to point people back to Jesus. I want for it to be like, oh wow, this person was a believer, or there's a deeper meaning to this. You know what I'm saying? I never want for it to be about me, and I want for it to not even just pierce through, of course, through to believers, but to non-believers. You know what I'm saying? Where you would look at it and you would never have thought that there was a deeper meaning to this. And then that just opens the door to someone being like, okay, well, who is this Jesus? Okay, well, what does this mean? Okay, well, what was the Last Supper? You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about even things that maybe they would have went through even back in the late 1400s, you know?
For sure.
So I think that's what means a lot to me. That's the stamp that it makes on culture.
Yeah.
You know, that it in history, in time, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what creativity, being able to express it in massive forms of art in any way, I think that's what it means to me.
That's so dope. I mean, I hear you saying that, and I'm just reminded of like how that plays out even in today. Like, similarly, you know, there's always there's conversations about how Christian culture in modern times can seemingly, you know, exploit the arts or the commerce, or is it evangelizing, or is it, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like profiting off but that's a conversation that is layered. But I do feel like look, here at Reach Records, it's like similarly to that church in that time, they commission artists with skill, with craftsmanship, with integrity to create something that reflects the nature of our creator to impact culture, to be relevant to culture. And those assets, those designs, these songs, this hoodie are just really conduits to point to something greater. And I feel like commerce has to happen so that can happen. So I understand the side of like people feeling a ways about that. But on the other side of it, look at the impact. I mean, just the other day, RG, I was gonna call him Raul. RG posted his I think 6-year anniversary of his project Raul.
Yeah.
And I saw another CHH artist comment he has a little fan base now. I'm gonna mention his name, but he was just like, when I was not a Christian and trying to find my faith, that project brought me through some dark times. And I'm thinking about it like, yo, this project that, you know, was funded and commissioned by Reach for RG to create impacted. There's impact there. So I feel like we need to, even circling back a little bit, Meah, there's creativity in Michelangelo making that statue or making those pieces of art. And there's creativity in the executives at that church.
Yeah.
Thinking that would be a good idea to do that, right? The investment in creativity is a form of creation and creativity in and of itself. It's like the investment of the systems, the operational systems that allow for creativity to flow. That is a form of creativity. And I want to say that for people who feel like, you know, we're highlighting just the public facing artists. It's like, nah, whoever was at that church, that bishop, I don't know what the official title was. It was creative of them to even think, to say, you know what, we need to bring these amazing artists into our space as a church and commission them to create something. That is a form of creativity too. Fire. You know what I'm saying? So what other examples come to mind? I think
I was going to ask you what other artists come to your mind.
I think about C.S. Lewis. I'm not gonna lie and say I read all his books, but Chronicles of Narnia.
But have you seen that movie?
Oh yeah.
Or read that book, Chronicles of Narnia? Yeah, that's like that movie will preach, y'all.
Yeah, that's a classic.
It's a classic.
And it is faith woven into
absolutely
creativity.
Absolutely.
Narrative. It's you know what? It's creative in how he did it.
Yes, very creative. Because even when I first watched, I was like, I didn't catch it until my dad was talking me through it. I was like, whoa, talking me through the movie. It's very, very creative.
And that impacts culture, and that's a very talk about legacy. That's a very like timeless piece of art that is creative and it's inspired by faith. And it resonates with people outside of the faith too, which prayerfully makes them want to like look into the faith. Someone similar, but not in a different industry that comes to mind that has that type of impact is Jerry Lorenzo, like with Fear of God. Like,
yeah.
Like, ain't gonna lie. So I was watching the All-Star game, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a big fan of Jerry Lorenzo because I want to launch a fashion brand as well. And I'm looking at some of the different hoodies he has. He did like collab with the NBA, and I'm looking, this is crazy. It says like Fear of God, each team, and Fear of God Lakers, Fear of God. And that statement to me is very bold, very Christ honoring for those who know. It's like if you know, you know.
You know, yeah.
And it's so creative how this very like religious phrase is mainstream and it's impacting fashion, right? Now, I'm not saying he's out here writing Bible verses on every piece of art or preaching from his platform, but just that little remnant, just that little phrasing is a creative way to like edify the body and glorify God. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was super creative.
That's so sick. That makes me think of makes me think about you saying fashion. I remember, I want to say it wasn't this year, but maybe it was either last year or 2 years ago. Shout out KB. I know that he hit Native Supply, helped style John Bellion for the Grammys. And if I'm remembering it correctly, the back of the tux said, "No idols will be worshipped here." And I don't know, to me, that spoke volumes just because, I mean, Grammys, you could easily find a designer, you know, do anything you want. But I think that form of creativity of getting a message across, you know what I'm saying? Like Fear of God, you know what I'm saying? I think that's so, I think people really underestimate fashion, even how people are able to be creative. I think that's an outlet for me where I've been able to, I'm not as creative as I want to be lately, but I feel like clothing and fashion and putting things together, is a way that
1,000.
I don't know, it scratches a creative part of my brain that I will ace. If you had no idea how early I'll wake up or late I'll stay up just to put a fit together, it's just fun. You know what I'm saying?
I totally,
you know what I'm saying?
I totally resonate.
People even underestimate the impact of fashion. So you bring up Fear of God was a perfect example.
Shout out that. And then, I mean, even to like think about it from this angle too, who are not like super artistic, that we consider artistic, the church was very prominent, if not pioneering in the founding of hospitals, universities, Harvard, Red Cross, these like timeless organizations. Now, I'm not saying like every organization is like super, tapped into the faith currently. That's a whole nother conversation. But just the founding of these amazing organizations and like impactful organizations, these were Christian-led people with of the faith that had ideas. Like, think about the creativity it took for the early Christian missionaries to go and create hospitals. Like, hey, the government's not going to take care of the sick and the people that are like downtrodden. We're going to, as the church, be creative with our solutions and think about how ways to create systems.
Bro.
That's creativity.
That's creativity,
and that has like temporal impact, and like impact on the body and the health and well-being of all people.
Yeah.
Which, we're gonna pray for their salvation, but God wants us to take care of everybody while they're here, right? So I think that's even think about universities and education. A lot of like the Ivy League schools, which we're talking about it with Matt, they were founded by Christians. Like we want to educate people and provide learning as a way to express and to evolve and to build industries. And so creativity is expressed in those examples too. And it's just really cool to see how like, man, it was actually people of the faith that launched some of those prominent things. And when you dunk on like Christian culture, like in America, people like, Christians ain't this, Christians ain't that, y'all all corny, y'all just go to church on Sunday and sing like worship songs and vote how you vote. It's like, actually in the history of time, people of the faith, the Christian faith has created a lot of amazing solutions for culture and society. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things, not to like, I don't think we should take any like pride or any like
but put some respect on our name for real. I feel like
we just kind of keep it, it's like, the church has done a lot for culture.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. 1,000%.
A lot for culture. So I am not going to take the stance. And I think my challenge for the church now is look at how the things we have created has impacted culture. Look at how creativity, look at the Renaissance, the creative Renaissance in the 1400s. So if we're of the faith, we have the ability and the power to lead creativity. And I think that's the challenge for me, you, for everybody watching, everyone. Even for people who are in tech. I'm talking about the teacher that's teaching in the classroom. I'm talking about all the people tuning in that's watching, like, gleaning from Reach Records. And it's like, we're just conduits of that creativity. We want to empower and impact everybody to think about, of the faith, how can we lead the creative frontier with solutions, ideas, music, arts, everything, because we have the access to the greatest.
It's already been done and it's already possible.
Like, so I just want to like embolden us, right? To not have this like, well, I'm not creative. Yes.
Trying to fit in, you know what I'm saying?
What?
Copy.
Think, dream. There's so much more out there. So when we come back, I'm going to get some scriptures to kind of support that thinking, and hopefully we can lead somebody. Maybe you never know who's on the other line of this, man. It could be the next, like, you know what I'm saying, Steve Jobs or whoever. Or,
Facts.
I don't want to say Elon because I'm not feeling him right now, but you know what I'm talking about.
That's how I said Tesla. No,
you definitely. I heard that. I was like,
I know. I saw it in your face. That's why I was thinking about myself. I'm gonna say Tesla.
You saw the look on my face.
I just.
Okay, yeah. Shout out electric vehicles.
Shout out electric.
Creatively solving the problem of carbon emissions.
Yeah.
And also creating problems in our government. This is 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back, y'all. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. Here with Meah Evans, Matt, talking about creativity and culture and kingdom. I mean, I feel like kingdom creativity. We got to go to the scriptures. And I'm not going to actually, read it verbatim, but, the creativity of God is just found early in Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth didn't have no shape and it was void, and he just literally spoke it into existence, right? And I know we know those scriptures, but I wonder if we kind of skip over it.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like God created the creator created the heavens and the earth. He made it, he formed it. Is there any takeaways from you as you hear those like readings in Genesis?
When I'll say this first, like when I was talking about looking at the moon, I do that probably like every night, where I think about like, man, like God made this, or like I don't know what it is about clouds that just fascinate me. When I'm either looking in the sky or like I'm flying, going somewhere, I'm just always like, man, like God really snapped when he made this. And I'm kind of like, what went through your mind when you're creating all these things? Like I think that just plays into, I guess, the awe of God, the mystery of God. But for me, honestly, Ace, if I could be honest with you, I was born, I won't say I've been creative as long as I can remember. And I know I've said this times before, me being going to a performing arts high school. I started writing plays and things like that when I was in middle school, casting my friends, directing them all when I was in middle school, and competing and things like that. And writing, just the whole nine. And I feel like as I got older, that faded. Not, I think just because I started going into broadcasting, and part of me really didn't think that creativity really went into that. And I'm still kind of learning that, if I can be honest.
Really?
But I'm just not as creative as I want to be. And I have so many things in me that I want to get out. But there was a time period where I was kind of like, man, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think this time is just past. I think that creative bone is just kind of like faded. Aww. Or I would kind of be like, man, I would be anxious to create because I thought that gift left me. Like that was only when I was young and I was full of expression and full of ideas and things like that. And now that I've gone into a new route or like a new avenue, that I don't have that gift anymore. And I would be like, I will always say, I feel like I'm dormant in the creative area, like a volcano. You know what I'm saying? Like I was kind of like, oh, don't trip. Like, it's not going to explode because it's dormant. It got nothing in it. I always felt I was dormant creatively. Oh. And it wasn't until, I can't remember what I listened to exactly. I just remember it was on a Sunday. I was coming after church and, I remember what it was. Thank you, God. My pastor, Pastor Mike Todd, was teaching on dominion. And thinking about how God's giving you dominion to do all these things, where everything we get comes from him. And I was just thinking about that, and I was kind of feeling like convicted, low key. I was like, man, God, I said, I just feel so dormant in creativity. And God was like, no, you're not dormant in creativity. You're dominant in creativity because I'm the creator, and you get that from me. Mm-hmm. And then hearing you say Genesis, I always think about Genesis 1:26-27, where it says, let God make us in his image after his likeness. So therefore, if he's a creator and he has all creativity, absolutely, I have that in me. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to encourage myself in that when I get a script idea or like, I don't know, a scene idea that comes to my mind, and I'm like, dang, I haven't written in so long. Can I really do this? Can I execute this well?
What is it that's blocking you from believing that you can? Like, what is it?
I think time. I think because I haven't exercised it and I haven't written anything in so long, I'm like, will I remember how? Will it make sense? Will it be corny? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like let me unpack that. Did I waste my time? You know?
Why would it be a waste of time?
If it's not good.
To who?
To me.
And what is it being good to you deliver? What does that give you?
It makes me feel like I'm still capable. And that I still have that muscle, that creativity that I had, that I was always exercising on a daily when I was younger.
So if it's good, what is that? How does good things come about? Like what's the process on how does it get to good? Like how would anybody be good at anything?
Practice.
Okay. And so
Ace clapping me up.
And so how do you expect something that you don't practice in to be good initially?
Okay, Ace, you're right.
No, so I think this is good because...
No, you're right. You're right, though.
I feel like us as creatives, and this is what I do. I associate creativity a lot of times with results and impact. The result, not even being necessarily the monetization, but just the result of it. Oh, that was great. Mm-hmm. Because that energizes us.
No, it feels great. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to challenge my own psyche and those watching that creating glorifies God first and foremost. And so it is a win. It is an expression. It is God honoring just to subdue whatever you're trying to create and just do something. It being, perfect or amazing isn't the litmus test of God being glorified through it. It's not. It's like God created us in our own image. He created and said what? It is, it's good. So the goodness is found in the obedience. It's just being called in the way he called us, which I think back to Genesis 26-28, it talks about how being fruitful and multiplying. I don't want to skip past that passage is only limited to like procreation. It's also an encouragement for creation, for creativity, be fruitful, bear the fruits of the spirit, subdue the earth, multiply. My takeaway is like, basically make some stuff. Mm-hmm. Make some stuff happen. And I feel like by making things, we make it and we say, oh, that's good. Now, if we're grading it from like a commercialization standpoint, from like an academic standpoint, of course, there's levels of excellence that I feel like we all aspire to. But just showing up and just creating something, that kid grabbing that marker and just making a mess, it is good. It's good. It's good. It's good. I think we need to do a better job of reminding ourselves that the goodness is in the expression, not necessarily in the rating of it. And that those moments of greatness that we're looking for does come from just being obedient and just throwing paint on the wall. You know what I'm saying? And God is glorified through that. Like, I think about even this other passage. I was texting Jill. Ephesians 2:10, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Mm-hmm. We were created, like we are his, like, man, we are crafted.
Perfect examples of his creation.
Man.
Perfect exampents.
And he already, so I think if we're looking at creativity through the lens only of, is it a hit record? Is it pleasing to me? Because is it my best? Man, I wonder if we're missing the innocence and that childlike, like, okay, for like that young child or young Ace, young Meah, you know that feeling you got when you created something?
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm talking?
Yes.
See, you see that right there?
Yes.
That is God honoring. I'm trying to recapture that for myself.
No, yeah.
I mean, the other day I was making some loops just to kind of like make some production. I was like, honestly, my production game is what it is right now. But I'm like, I'm about to just make some stuff. I don't even know. I need to remove the where is this going? How's this gonna place? I just need to get in the studio and just create some stuff. Yeah. Because that childlike wonder. I mean, tell me about that feeling that you just responded to when I mentioned it. Yeah.
It's just because you feel like, I think that's just plays into imagination. Because you just feel like the possibilities are endless and you can do nothing wrong. And you can go as far as you want, as high as you want. Like, there's no wrong. There's no wrong way. You know what I'm saying? And then when you discover or create something that, like for example, I know you can attest to this, creating a song. You know, you took nothing and then you added drums and you added, you know, all these different things, vocals, you know, all these things, and you created something. You're kind of like, oh, well, this piece of paper was blank and now there's all these, a scene is on it that came from my mind that I haven't seen happen, but you know what I'm saying? You kind of get excited because you can see it. You can see it in your mind, and the idea of, I think what it is, really bringing what was in your mind and that you thought could only make sense to you, bringing it to life for other people to see. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. You saying that just burst something in me. That maybe reminded me of just what it felt like to create again as a child, with the excitement you get. Yeah, that's a powerful tool, and a powerful response. That childlike wonder and imagination. I think some of the greatest creators of our time still tap into that thing, which I believe is really Holy Spirit led and driven. Even for people who are not necessarily of the faith. You're pulling from a source outside of yourself. Like, that's not you, fam. That's not you, man. It's not you.
I ain't gonna name no names, but that's not you, fam. That's you tapping into another source. Now you're probably stewarding it and, you know, using it in a way that doesn't always honor God, but just to be able to do that comes from a place. And I feel like that childlike place is a God honoring place. And I think that I think God finds delight in us going to that place, that childlike faith, that childlike creativity. Do you remember a time when you had delight in something you created? Like, where you just had like... As a grown man? As a grown man. I know. where you got reminded of like, oh man, I love being this creative and expressing this. I would say... There's probably, it's just something like me and Hovey collaborated on this song called Bring Heaven Down. And I think writing those lyrics with him was like picking those words. And that hook was written like a year ago. And it wasn't even something that we thought we were going to use. It was like, hey, that was cool. But I think that brought me a delight at the tour the other day in Chicago, seeing how that song galvanized people to worship. And I had no... Man, look at this song we wrote, bro. It was more like, God used this little idea to bring people closer to him. Yeah. Thank you for giving me the gift. And also I'm glad I just was, being obedient. And I made that idea with him at a time when I was like doing reps too, of like, I'm gonna try to, catalog more ideas. And some stuff ain't come out. Some stuff may never. Yeah. But I feel like look what happened when you just be obese. Show up with the gift God gave you and do something with it.
Yeah.
So that's a time that comes to mind, and I'm grateful. And I mean, that childlike wonder. I mean, we could probably talk hours to that feeling though.
How do we keep that feeling?
I feel like growing old does damper, and then the dormancy you talked about is a reflex to us being told that something can be better. Like constructive criticism can kill a dream.
Yeah.
But constructive criticism is needed to sharpen. Lack of results can kill a dream. And so I think we suppress the creative wells in our soul. We suppress that parts of us, and how we can keep it kind of lit is to honestly probably reorient our minds to look at creativity the right way, which is back to that scripture of like cultivate, be fruitful, multiply. We are God's craftsmanship. We're created to do good things. So if you give me constructive feedback on what I created, you're not attacking my identity, because God said I'm perfectly made, right? God said this about me. So a constructive feedback on my art isn't an attack on my soul, my identity. I need to detach. Me not getting the result of this business that I wanted to launch and then not working isn't an attack on my psyche and my identity, because the business, pass or fail, starting the idea in general glorifies God, and learning from what I did on to the next. So I think just having some creative resilience. And I feel like that'll help us like find the way to kind of tap into that inner peace, that inner child of ours. And from this is like my basketball coach in me. And you got to just get in the gym.
Get the reps in.
You got to get the reps in.
I was thinking creative constancy.
Yeah, like doing it
again and again.
I'll say something that was, I was in 2022. I had a goal of mine. 2021. I need to get back to it. I had this goal of like, I'm going to create a music loop, like a little idea of music, no drums, just practice my skill every day. I did it for like 4 months. I did like 3 or 4 times a week. Some of them were really weak, and I cataloged a bunch of like loop ideas, and I would send them to different producers. And some got used for like beats, but beats that never came out. And then on Church Clothes 4, the intro, CC4, we had this song that was already kind of done, the rap part that I produced with my boy Jube, shout out Jube. And we needed a way for the song to sonically transition into Spread the Ops. And I was just going through some loops I had made like 2 years ago. Like, let me just throw one of these loops in here. And I was able to throw it in there. Jeez. And Lecrae was like, yo, why don't we like sing the Spread the Ops hook over this loop pack? It's like into the song, and like it can transition smoothly. And so, I mean, just that diligence, which I haven't done in a while, of just making a bunch of stuff. I had a arsenal of moments of creativity I could pull from to use.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how success or the results generally happens, is you just got to do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And then somehow God uses those things to launch past you into something else. And but we, unfortunately, we want everything we do to have this launchpad mountaintop experience, when I've seen it doesn't really work like that. So just fold her up, tighten up, get in the gym, get some creative reps in, and just surrender that to the Lord, whether he blesses it or not. He already blessed it, but whether it's like a result or not, and just sit back and have fun with it. You never know what can happen. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like hopefully that encouraged somebody watching. And
shoot, that encouraged me.
There's a creative child in all of us.
Yeah.
So like, don't grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like on some Neverland.
Yeah.
Ride.
No, don't. What was it? Don't hinder your creative, because I think I'm hoping that someone listening or watching just understands with everything that we said is that we all have creative in us, and to let that spark through or be expressed, whether it's on the tech side or the side where you feel like you're not, as maybe you're a doctor or you work in editing or you do graphics or anything like that. There is creative. If you're a mother, if you're a teacher, that was great what you said. If you're an assistant, if you're if you're a janitor, like there's creativity in everything that you do, everything that you do, and to highlight it, and I think to let it shine forth
Yeah.
And just give it recognition. Don't suppress it. Don't suppress your creativity.
Let's get it, man. We'll see y'all next week. It's the 116 Life Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. Take care.